You've probably seen all of those videos about how great Southern Oregon is, right? But what are those videos not telling you? What about the worst parts of Southern Oregon? It's not like there's people out there yelling from the rooftops, avoid Medford, Oregon, it sucks. No, most videos paint a rosy picture of a great retirement town with lots of natural beauty and a low cost of living, but they leave out some details that you need to know about, and that's what I'm going to tell you about in this video right here. If you're already a resident, you may not like this video because, well, the truth hurts, and I apologize in advance because I know that this video is going to upset and offend some people, and I'm going to probably get slaughtered in the comments section, but I will survive and you will get the truth about the worst parts of Southern Oregon. I've heard from other people saying there were things I wish I knew before moving to Medford, Oregon, and I don't want you to fall into that category, so I'm going to give you the lowdown, the dirt, the details, and it is not all pretty, I can tell you that. So let's stop beating around the bush here, and I'm going to go ahead and dive on right into these 7 worst parts of Southern Oregon, counting down from 7 to number 1, and including a few surprises along the ways that you're probably not going to believe. Number 7 is well, wait a second. I didn't even introduce myself to you yet. How rude of me. I'm Brian Simmons. I'm a licensed real estate agent with eXp Realty here in Southern Oregon. And if there's anything I can do to help you learn, buy, or list real estate here in Southern Oregon, I hope you will not hesitate to reach out. You can call or text me at 541-954-7758. That's my direct number. Or there is a link in the description of this video that you can click on to set up a time for us to chat face-to-face on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever works for you. And if you like what you see in this video, which you probably won't because it's a video about the worst parts of Southern Oregon, but if you do, go ahead and click that like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to buy or sell real estate in Southern Oregon. Now, let's get into that number 7 spot. Number 7 on the list is West Medford, and I can hear already what in the world is wrong with West Medford, and I don't know that there's really anything wrong with West Medford like there are with some other parts of Southern Oregon on this list, but here's the facts. Neighborhood Scout says that West Medford has the highest crime rate when compared to other parts of Medford. And I'm going to show you on the map here exactly what we're talking about when I'm talking about West Medford. So if we zoom in here, you'll see West Medford is this section kind of right in here, and I'll draw it out on the map for you. It is west of I-5, this is I-5, and Stewart Avenue, Ross Anley, and Lozier Lane. So this is the area that I'm talking about when I say West Medford, okay? And that's what Neighborhood Scout says has the highest crime compared to other areas of Medford. This area has a lot of older homes in it, as some of the more original homes of Medford, which makes the price point naturally lower. And there's a lot of renters, a lot of multifamily units. And this area also encompasses the downtown area of Medford, and like most cities on the West Coast, that's where you tend to see a higher concentration of homelessness, and you see less of a concentration of parks and those sorts of things. So there's a couple little parks here, like this one you see here and this one here, but not really as much as you see in all these other parts, you know, golf courses and different things all around that bring in a lot of, you know, nice, beautiful area. But being what it is with the downtown area and those sorts of things, that tends to bring up the crime rate and it makes it a little bit less desirable. So compared to some of the other places on this list though, West Medford is like Beverly Hills. So before you get all bent out of shape about me putting West Medford on this list, wait till you see the other places on this list. So yes, West Medford does have higher crime. It does have some gang-related activity and such, but it also has a lot of really good things happening, a lot of good development happening, a lot of improvements going on there. There's plenty of law enforcement, okay? And overall, I do believe that it's a safe place, and I wouldn't hesitate at all to recommend it. But there are some parts of Southern Oregon that would be higher on my list if I were moving to Medford, Oregon. Number 6 on this list is Gold Hill, okay? And when it comes to small little rural towns, Gold Hill just falls short of the others, okay? It's between Grants Pass and Medford. As you can see here on the map, Grants Pass here, Medford here, Gold Hill's kind of in the middle, and it just falls a little bit short of the others. It's not as nice as the towns like Rogue River or Shady Cove or Jacksonville, which are similar small towns. There's just a lot of older buildings that are vacant. There's not that many great dining options there. I mean, there are some good ones like Massey's for dinner or Patty's for breakfast, or the Rebel Coffee Stand is great too any time of the day. But it just lags behind what the other towns have been able to do to provide that small town charm. The downtown area of homes, which I'm gonna zoom in on here right now, which is this 4th and 5th and 6th Avenue area up here. They're just a little bit rough, okay? The streets aren't very well maintained. There's a lot of potholes, and I know the city of Gold Hill was actually fined by the DEQ for falling behind on their plans for a water treatment facility, which I hear has been an issue for some time. And that's something you should research yourself. I don't know all the details there, but I know that it's been a thing. So I just don't know if the city isn't ran properly or what, but it is noticeable when you drive through there. And there is a difference between Gold Hill and other towns that I mentioned previously, like Rogue River, which is nearby, or Shady Cove, which is up the river a ways. But you know, it's just a shame. It's a shame to see that because it has so much potential, okay? A really, really phenomenal location right on the Rogue River with the river running right through it, with this great beach area here for swimming, lots of riverfront homes. It's in the popular Central Point School District, and it just has so much potential. So it's really a shame to see it at number 6 on this list, but because of those reasons, that's where it's at, as number 6 on the worst places of Southern Oregon. And number 5 on the list is Williams, and you may not even have a clue about where Williams is, and that's part of the reason why it finds itself as number 5 on this list, okay? And I've lived in Southern Oregon for 25 years before I ever made it out to Williams, because it's just so far off the beaten path. And you can see Medford's right here and Grants Pass is here. Williams is way down over here, okay? Totally off the beaten path. It's a solid 30 minutes to drive from Williams to Grants Pass. And it really doesn't just have much at all out there in terms of amenities, okay? They do have a country store, they have a general store, there's a gas station, a post office, elementary school, and I think there's a restaurant out there still called Rascal's Bar and Grill. But other than that, really, there's a lot of pot farms, and that's kind of the name of the game out there in Williams. Lots of pot farms. Okay, so if you want to go shopping or you want to go out to dinner, you're talking about an hour round trip. And now, that all being said, I know that there are some people looking for that type of a place who want to be that remote, who want to have, you know, that seclusion and privacy and all that sort of stuff. And if you want that, you know, a remote location with minimal amenities, Williams is a great option, okay? Real estate's a lot less expensive than other parts of Southern Oregon for the most part, and there are some properties with farmland and those things that are really, really pretty out in that area. So if that's the kind of place that you're looking for, Williams really isn't a bad option. It's just a ways away from town, at about a half-hour drive each way to Grants Pass. So if you're open to that, not a bad option, but otherwise, Williams lands itself on number 5 on the list of the worst places in Southern Oregon. Number 4 is Sam's Valley, and this one was pretty tough on me because personally, I think Sam's Valley has some great things going for it. I have friends who live in Sam's Valley, I've sold a lot of homes in Sam's Valley, and I know there are a lot of people who are super happy out there, and I probably could be too. But the reasons it's number 4 on this list are real. First off, it is dry, okay? And that's why it's shown with this kind of yellowy color here. And if I put on the satellite view, you'll see it's pretty dry out there, okay? You don't see the nice green fields and pastures that you see in the other parts surrounding Medford and out kind of towards Eagle Point and all that. You see all that greenery. And you just don't see that in the Sam's Valley area. There's this little kind of sliver going up there, but otherwise it is pretty brown and pretty dry. And that's because they really don't have many properties out there with water rights and irrigation, okay? And water is an issue in Sam's Valley in some places. Some properties are totally fine. They have great wells and all that stuff, but it's very hit or miss, okay? And the other reason that Sam's Valley is on this list is because there's a lot of what I would call unsightly properties in the area. Properties that have tons of cars and trailers and equipment and tarps and animals and all sorts of stuff all over the place, okay? And you pepper that in with a good amount of pot growing going on out there, and you can see why it ends up number 4 on this list. It's just really not the prettiest part of Southern Oregon. In fact, I'd say it's probably the ugliest terrain in my opinion. And if you were to look at it on a map, which you can see right here, it reminds me of the scene from The Lion King when Simba and his dad are on the big rock and he's pointing out, you know, where the Lion Kingdom turf is, and Simba says, well, what about that shadowy place over there? That's kind of how Sam's Valley is. If you can picture Simba standing up on top of Mount McLaughlin over here, looking over at the Rogue Valley. He'd see all these beautiful, you know, green pastures out in the Eagle Point area and around Medford, and he'd probably be pretty pumped about that. And then he would look over into the Sam's Valley area and be like, what's going on with that dry, barren area? Anyways, number 3 on the list is White City. Okay, and if you took Sam's Valley and you put a city in it, you would have White City. And here's my beef with White City. I'm going to zoom in on it right here. It is just north of Medford, south of Eagle Point, just near Sam's Valley area, but closer to town, okay? And here's my beef with White City. It has a lot of graffiti, okay? And I don't know the data on it, but I would suspect that the graffiti is probably gang related, and gangs generally bring in crime. And I don't want to blanket stereotype gang members in case any of them are watching this, but I do think it's pretty reasonable to make a connection that graffiti equals gangs equals crime. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on out there from what I understand, okay? Again, a lot of nice things going on in White City too, like we just talked about with other places, but there's also a lot of the graffiti, a lot of the crime type stuff going on out there. In addition, there's also quite a few unmaintained mobile parks and plenty of those unsightly properties like we just talked about in Sam's Valley, okay? And you put all that together in a dry, barren area, and you feel like you kind of got teleported to Oklahoma or somewhere in West Texas. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. So with all of that being said, White City does have some pretty popular areas, and I'm going to take a look at the satellite view here to show you that there's a lot of development going on here, and it's very popular, and there's some really nice places actually in here where you have little pockets that are really nice places. And White City is an area that is very popular among first-time homebuyers, and it's because it's an eligible area for a USDA loan, which means if you qualify, you could be able to do a home loan with 0% down and no money out of your pocket at all, and that's pretty appealing. So you pair that with the lower prices compared to most of Southern Oregon and a pretty convenient location for being able to access Medford for work and some of the other parts of the area, and you can see why there's a lot of homes being sold in White City every single year, and why it's actually growing very quickly and outpacing many other parts of Southern Oregon. However, because of the reasons I mentioned, White City lands itself as the 3rd worst part of Southern Oregon, and that's going to probably be one that I get beat up in the comments about, but I'm sticking with it. Something about the graffiti and those sorts of things that just gets it pretty low on my list, or high on this list, whichever way you want to put it. So number 2 on this list is the Wolf Creek and Glendale area, and to even get those on the map, we have to scroll way the heck over here and zoom in and get to Glendale and Wolf Creek, okay? And so why am I picking on little old Glendale and Wolf Creek? Well, it's because it is very remote. It's small, it doesn't have much in terms of amenities. It's kind of like the wild west out there, okay? Not a lot of law enforcement, quite a bit of riffraff from the pot industry, probably seeing a little bit of a trend there so far. And it's 30 minutes away from Grants Pass on I-5, and it's actually in Douglas County, so it's not even in the same county as Grants Pass, okay? You have to travel over a few different mountain passes to get there, which can be closed or delayed in the wintertime if there's snow or ice, which does happen every single year. And it's kind of in this no man's land, okay, where it's 35 minutes or so to Grants Pass depending on where you're going, and it's 45 minutes or so to Roseburg to the north, okay? It's not part of Josephine County, so Grants Pass doesn't really claim it, and it's not, you know, close enough to Roseburg, so Douglas County doesn't really claim it. It's just kind of in this weird remote spot. So if you need to go shopping or you want to go out to dinner, it is a haul. I mean, it's an hour at least round trip, probably more. And Wolf Creek over here to the south a little bit is kind of like the slums of Glendale, and I feel bad even saying that, but it's just the truth, okay? Now Glendale does have some potential though. It's an old logging town that still has an operational mill that employs a ton of people, but as you drive through the town, it just seems like a town that was once thriving and is now struggling. They have a grocery store, schools, really like a lot of natural beauty with the mountains and everything around there, But again, it just isn't enough to make up for the fact that it's just so far away from everything and so far past its prime. And that's what lands it as number 2 on the spot, especially when you pepper in all the pot industry stuff going on out there and the lack of law enforcement and those sorts of things. It's just a recipe for a pretty rough spot, and why it lands itself on number 2 here with its little cousin Wolf Creek to the south. So now that we just beat up on poor old Glendale and Wolf Creek, who could possibly be number 1? What could be worse than that? And if you're a local resident, this is probably not going to be a surprise to you, but the number 1 spot on this list of worst places in Southern Oregon is Cave Junction / Selma area, and that lands at the top spot, Cave Junction and Selma, okay? And the reason being is, well, there's plenty of them, but I'm going to show you on the map here. Cave Junction and Selma are right here, and they're about 40 minutes drive from Grants Pass down the pretty windy Highway 199, and that is a haul. If you're driving to Grants Pass for work or to go to the grocery store, 40 minutes down this windy road. It's just a 2-lane highway in most spots. It gets exhausting. It's a bit of a drive. But if you brave that drive and you want to go those 40 minutes down the windy Highway 199, you will find yourself in the wild, wild west town of Cave Junction, Oregon, which I would say is pretty much the epicenter of the black market pot industry in Southern Oregon. And I don't have any data to back that, because where do you find data about illegal operations like that? But I would be willing to bet you that Cave Junction has more illegal black market cartel type pot grows than anywhere else in Southern Oregon. Why? Because they can get away with it. Why? Because they don't have enough funding to have ample law enforcement. And why is that? It's because the residents have voted down levies over and over and over, and the result has been pretty catastrophic, honestly. In fact, I'm going to read you a quote from the Oregon Public Broadcast article that just came out here not too long ago, and I'll put a link to it in the description of this video if you want to read the whole article yourself. But it says, in 2012, Josephine County voters did not approve a $12 million levy. As a result, sheriff deputies were laid off and jail inmates were released. In 2019, a report about law enforcement in the county stated that after the levy failed, concealed carry permits tripled in the county and drug crime rate increased to about 3 times the state's rate. Okay, many citizens spoke in support of the tax during Wednesday's public hearing, which is a new tax that they're levying or introducing to be voted on. And somebody had mentioned in their comment, they said, I remember 2012, I remember what it was like out there, said a Cave Junction resident. I truly felt like we were living in the Old West. And that's the end of the quote, okay? There is a new levy, like I just talked about, that will be voted on in November of 2023 to address the issue and provide more funding. And until that happens, I do believe that the issues out there in Cave Junction and a lot of rural Josephine County, like those areas kind of near Wolf Creek and Glendale, even though Glendale's out of the county, I believe those remote areas like that in Josephine County will continue to struggle with those issues. Okay, I've heard countless stories about people who have had their car stolen or something, and then it's spotted at some illegal pot grow in Cave Junction. The sheriff just says, "Hey, sorry, we don't have manpower to safely go after that." All right, and I hope they do get it sorted out, because Cave Junction is actually a very pretty area. The Illinois River that flows through it is gorgeous. It's probably the best river for swimming holes in all of Southern Oregon, and maybe even the entire state of Oregon. The Kalmiopsis Wilderness that's to the west is gorgeous as well, what's left of it that didn't burn down. But really a pretty place, and the Oregon Caves National Monument and all those things around it are really, really spectacular. And so it's just a shame that it's such a crime-ridden area and that's been overran with the riffraff and all those sorts of things. So that all being said, if you do find yourself out in Cave Junction, passing through, heading into the coast or something, definitely stop by Taylor's Sausage Country Store, pick up some jerky. I'm going to show you where that's at here, right here on the main drag of the road there on Cave Junction on Highway 199. But definitely check it out. Their jerky is some of the best I've ever had there. The Trail Busters, I think you absolutely love it. So at least they have that going for them. Listen, there are some really, really spectacular parts of Southern Oregon that do not have the issues that we talked about in this video, okay? There's places that have beautiful settings and charming towns and clean streets and lovely neighborhoods and parks and great restaurants and ample law enforcement and all those sorts of things, those exist out here, okay? And Southern Oregon is just an incredibly beautiful area overall with so much going on for it. It's clear why it's been such a popular destination for people moving to Oregon or moving out of California or Washington or other parts of the country, okay? What we have here is very desirable, and I've made a bunch of different videos about that, and I really encourage you to check those out. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel called Living in Southern Oregon, and that is a really wonderful place to start your research. Again, I'm Brian Simmons. I'm a licensed real estate agent with eXp Realty here in Southern Oregon, and if there's anything I can do to help you learn, buy, or list real estate here in Southern Oregon, I hope you will not hesitate to reach out. Use that link I told you about in the description of this video to set up a time for us to chat, or call me, text me at 541-954-7758, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did I miss? What areas did I get wrong? Feel free, go ahead in there and just be honest. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Places that should have been on the list, places that shouldn't have been on the list, data I got wrong. Feel free to share it and let me know what I got. I'm creating new videos every single week about different parts of Southern Oregon, so subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the like button, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified next time I drop a video. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.